What's up guys, I'm Andy from 1A Auto. Here in this video, I'm going to be replacing the rear upper control arm on this 2012 Ford Escape. If you need this part or other parts for your vehicle, click the link in the description and head over to 1aauto.com. I'm going to remove the wheel. I'm going to use a 19mm socket and a breaker bar, loosen up the lug nuts before I raise the vehicle up. All right, now I'm going to remove the lug nuts. Grab the wheel. Oh, this wheel's stuck on there pretty good. So just gonna put a lug nut on, take a hammer and hit it from the backside. You can take the lug nut off and pull the wheel off. All right, now this nut is pretty rusty, so I'm just gonna use some rust penetrant, soak it down, let it soak for a while. Now I'm just gonna spray this bolt over here because we're gonna have to take that one out. It's pretty rusty. Just use some rust penetrant. I'm just gonna take an 18mm socket and a breaker bar, and I'm gonna loosen this nut up. Once it's broken free, I'm just gonna take an extension and a ratchet. Take this nut off. Make sure that's loose. I am gonna put this back on. Just get it on a couple threads. Right about there. I am gonna take a punch. If you have a smaller one, that's fine. It doesn't have to be this big. And just give it a tap on the bottom. Separate that. Now this is loose and separated. Can take the nut off. Slide the control arm up. So when I go to install the new upper control arm, I'm gonna wanna torque this bolt over here on this same level of where this arm is. So I can take a tape measure, just measure where the arm is to the knuckle. It's about 3 inches right there. So what I can do is I can have someone hold this arm while I torque that bolt with the new one. Right, now I'll just take a 18mm socket and a breaker bar, loosen up this bolt. Oh, it's tight. Once it's a little bit loose, you can use a ratchet. Take that bolt out. You can just grab the arm and slide it out. Here's the old upper control arm. Here's the new rear upper control arm from 1aauto.com. As you can see, the length is the same. The mounting positions are the same. Comes with a new ball joint and a new nut. You want to take this nut off. This is just a protector. Throw that out. Get yours at 1aauto.com and you'll be ready to rock and roll. Slide the upper arm into position. Get the bolt. Get that started. Just take the 18mm socket and a ratchet. Tighten this up. All right, so before we torque that bolt over there, we wanted to raise this up. You want this about ride height, and we measured it before and it was 3 inches. So I'm just gonna take this socket, stick this socket here, and that equals the 3 inches. So we're good. Now we can tighten that up right there. Now I'll take my 18mm socket and torque wrench. I'm gonna torque this bolt to 129 foot-pounds. Now I can remove this socket. And we can install this ball joint. Slide that down. Install the nut. Now I'm going to take a pry bar, go on top of the upper control arm, go underneath the spring over there, pry down. And I'll take a socket extension and a ratchet, tighten this nut up. And once that gets snugged down a little bit, I can torque it with the same 18mm socket and torque wrench. I'm going to torque this to 46 foot-pounds. If while you're tightening this nut, you find the stud is spinning because of the ball joint, you can use the pry bar, try to pry down a little bit more, or you can take an 18mm wrench, tighten it up this way, and then have a socket. This is a 9mm socket and a ratchet. Put a ratchet on the end of that, and then you can hold the stud while you tighten it up with the wrench. I'm going to put the tire back on. Put the lug nuts on. All right, just going to use the 19mm socket. Tighten these down by hand. I'm going to take my socket and a torque wrench. I'm going to torque these to 100 foot-pounds, and I'm going to do it in a star pattern so that the wheel gets tightened down evenly. Just going to go around again, make sure everything's tight.
Thanks for watching. If you want the parts to do it yourself, check out oneaauto.com, the place for DIY auto repair.